Texas wants to put Bibles in schools. As a person of faith, that is disgusting and it is wrong. If you call yourself a person of faith and you say you believe in free will, and you take away people's free will to believe what they want, you are no longer a person of faith. You are a Pharisee, a religious hypocrite. You don't follow God. You want to play God. You want to force your version of religion on people. In the Bible, there's nothing that says to be a Christian. Not once is it mentioned. Not to be Catholic or Pentecostal or Episcopalian or Baptist or anything. Nothing. Men, white men who own black people, created religion to control people into making them believe what they tell them to believe. Now, if you want to say, well, we need to bring God back into the church, well, a Bible is not God. It's a book written by men that are dead. Okay? Now, let's take that sentiment for a second and segue over to the Catholic Church. How many thousands of young men have been molested in the Catholic Church? And all you pro-life evangelicals didn't say a damn thing? There's Bibles there. They have Bible stories. Bibles everywhere. They have priests and stained glasses and holy water and chapels and statues. And somehow, with religious signs everywhere, little boys are molested in that house of God. And yet you don't take any time to address that. How about the dozens and dozens and dozens of women that were assaulted in the Baptist church? Just curious. Bibles were there. They had Sunday morning service. They had the priests and ministers. And yet it happened there. So when you say we need to bring God back, you're not bringing God anything. You're bringing a book that was written by a bunch of dead people. And you don't follow the whole thing. That's the problem with you. Do you eat pork? Do you eat scaled fish? Do you shave your beard? Do you have tattoos? No? Why don't you follow that part? Why is it that you only follow abortion, which isn't even mentioned in the Bible, and being gay? Why are those the two worst sins? Because some white man in a white church told you what to think, and you're too stupid to read for yourself. I grew up in a Baptist church, and it's indoctrination. You're told what to think. And I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to use a political analogy, okay? So you will spend Pride Month yelling and screaming and spit coming out of your mouth and posting on Facebook and Instagram how it's a sin against God and I have to speak out. But then in the last election, you voted for a president who is a convicted felon, who was unfaithful to every wife, been married 3 times, has sex with a porn star while she's at home with her 2-week-old son, who was sued by a 13-year-old for raping her, who defends child molesters, who's an adjudicated rapist. And yet you won't say a damn thing. Why is that, evangelicals? I thought you were enforcing God's will upon people and just letting people know what's a sin. It's interesting how you only cherry pick certain sins, isn't it? Because you don't have critical thinking. And when you force that upon people, you're taking away their free will, which is literally the antithesis of what God stood for. And here's the thing, and I'm going to say this as a person of faith, I can't prove that God exists. I could be wrong. I absolutely could be. I can't prove it. I didn't see him. I've never seen Jesus. Do I believe it? Yeah, I do. I've felt certain things in my life, but I also can't say that I prove it. And that's the problem with you people, is that you act like God is a fact, and he's not. What does he look like? How tall is he? What's his hair color? Well, you believe it. That's great. If I believe that 2 + 2 is 1,000, does that mean it's a fact just because I believe it? If I believe the world is flat, does that mean it's a fact because I believe it? I believe the sky is green. Well, that's what I believe. That doesn't make it a fact. See, that's the problem. That's why you people can't hear what I'm saying, and it gets through to your thick skull because you're too stupid and you're stuck in this religious psychosis. And you're told day after day, after Sunday, that you don't dare question God. Now, I don't know about you, but if I'm a person of faith, do you want to be a slave and a servant to a God that literally murdered the entire planet with a flood? Or do you want to have a relationship? Because that's what I thought it was supposed to be. That's what faith is supposed to be. Now let's pivot to you people that have to throw Bible verses and say you're all going to burn in hell. Do you know why you have to do that? Because your walk is a piss poor reflection of what Jesus stands for. Faith without works is MAGA. That's what you people are. Because you have to say that you're people of faith. You know what Jimmy Carter did? He built homes for people. Mother Teresa helped people. John Lewis fought for people. Colin Kaepernick stood up for people. Martin Luther King stood up for people. These people that go around and say, you better turn to Jesus or you're going to burn in hell, you know why? Because their walk spoke who they were as people. And every one of you that has to throw your gold crosses and your Bible verses, it's because you don't follow what you say you believe in. By your fruits shall you be judged. You have no fruits. Your tree is bare, like that tree over there. Empty. It has no fruits on it. It's rotten to the core. So you want to beat people into submission. This is what white Christian nationalism is. It is about control. Now, it's ironic that you want to put the Bible in schools, right? Because you want people to turn to Jesus. But yet, the number one cause of death of children is gun violence. And you won't do a damn thing about that. 40,000 people die from gun violence. You won't do a damn thing about that. The president is defending child molesters. You won't do a damn thing about that. 14 million kids go to school hungry. You won't do anything about that, but you'll spend days and weeks fighting to put a Bible in a school because you don't live by it. And I want you to think about this for all of you fake Christians out there with your gold crosses. What are you going to say one day when you stand there on Judgment Day? Honestly, what are you going to do? And you're going to stand before God. What's he going to say? Well, what did you do? I told you to love thy neighbor. And yet, all these people died from gun violence. You said nothing. These little girls were molested on Epstein Island. You did nothing. These children starved to death. You did nothing. But yet, I see, Billy Bob, that you have 4,000 guns and 4 trillion American flags. And I see here on 8 dozen occasions where you talked about transgenders in sports, and you had 49 conversations about what's a man and what's a woman, and 4,000 conversations about do you want men and women's bathrooms? Because that's what you're doing. Because you're not people of faith. You're Pharisees. You're the same people that crucified Jesus in the name of God because he wouldn't conform to their religious agenda. That's exactly what you are. You are the modern day Sanhedrin. And just like them, you know who you chose? You rejected Jesus and you chose Barabbas. You chose Barabbas in 2016, 2020, and 2024. You chose an earthly king, an antichrist. But now his name is Donald Trump, not Barabbas. That is who you serve. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot serve Donald Trump and Jesus. You cannot live in both light and darkness. You cannot say, own the libs, F Joe Biden and Joe in the hoe, and then say, I love my neighbor as thyself. It doesn't work that way. So why don't you go think about that? And one last thing, because this really goes to the point of the lack of intelligence with MAGA. So just so we're all understanding, because I want you to understand the stupidity and lack of intelligence. So these people that saw Donald Trump allegedly lose his little ear, okay? You ran around with tampons on your ears, but you won't say a damn thing about children murdered in schools and identified by the dental records. And you say, oh my God, it's Jesus, God, Jesus saved him. What about the man behind him? What about his family that's never going to have their dad? Why didn't God save him? Oh, God works a mysterious way. What about the 7 million Jews in the Holocaust? Or the thousands of black people that were lynched in trees? Or segregation or Jim Crow? Or how the Native American population went from north of 50 million down to 200,000 because the white man basically brought in all these diseases. Where was God during all that? Just out of curiosity. So God let millions and millions and millions of people die on planet Earth, but then he comes down and saves a man that rapes women. You got to be a special kind of stupid to believe that. That is what religious psychosis is. It is devoid of facts and morality. The Bible does not belong in a school. Gun reform should be in a school. Kids should have the freedom to go to school and not be afraid to shot or do active shooter drills. That's what should be in a school. Ban ghost guns. Regulate guns. If you're really pro-life, then do it. Because I'm sick and tired of you people with your crosses saying you're pro-life and you're against abortion, but once the baby's born, you don't care if the mother dies from sepsis. You don't care if Donald Trump rapes the child. You don't care if Donald Trump molested on Epstein Island. You don't care if it dies on January 6th. You don't care if it starves to death, dies from lack of health care, has affordable housing. has a living wage, is homeless, or dies from the environment. You're not pro-life and you've never been pro-life. So with all due respect, shut the hell up and shove your gold crosses up your ass. Have a good day.